I read some more books this month. So, I'm in college now, so that means I've been having to do a lot of work. So I have only read 2 books. I struggled to even finish 2. And so since I only read 2 books, I'm also going to be showing y'all what is on my TBR. Let's get into the first book I read. The first book I read this month was What Happens After Midnight, and she wrote Summer Broken Rules, which I have yet to read. I saw this at Walmart. Got it a while ago because I really related to the synopsis. The main character's name is Lily, and she feels like she didn't have any fun in high school, so she wants to live up her senior year. But this was one of the cutest books I have ever read. The relationship and all the characters just felt like a warm hug. It was just so easy to follow along because most of the book follows one night. There's like a little bit of romance, and it literally just makes you say, "Aww," like it's just so cute. Lily goes to a boarding school where her mom is a teacher, and she used to date this guy Taggart, which is a really weird name. They broke up a while ago, but it's clear that she still has feelings for him, but she's too scared to tell him because of what happened in the past. At the boarding school, every year, the seniors have something called a jester, which is basically like a prankster, and they'll do like one little prank. Lily gets a very creepy letter in the mail, like the magazine cutouts of letters, saying if she wants to join the jester. And of course she says yes because she wants to live up her senior year. She figures out who the jester is, and of course it's Tag. He doesn't want to do just one day of prank, so he is upping up the ante. They kind of create like a scavenger hunt. The whole reason was kind of like a big complication. They begin their adventure hiding their clues after midnight, and the main part of the book is just following them hiding each clue, and then you learn about each clue. The scenes were just so fun, and they had a lot of ups and downs and crazy things that happened in the night. The middle of the book where they're hiding the clues, I flew through. The last little bit is a little slow, but it has some really cute moments. It just warmed my heart, and I loved it. So I gave this 4 stars. The second and last book I read, The Housemaid's Secret, and oh my gosh, I love this series. This is the sequel to The Housemaid, and she is so good at writing thrillers. My jaw was on the floor at the end of it. There's just so many plots in this book, mystery, just insane. The last few chapters were the most intense thing I've read recently, and I could not flip the pages fast enough. The beginning was a little bit slow, but then it started to pick up, and it was just one thing after another. Millie, the main character, is a housemaid, and she has a reputation for helping women in need, specifically if they have an abusive husband or anything like that. But she starts working for the Garricks, who is another rich family who lives in this New York City penthouse. The house is perfectly clean. She kind of cooks for them a few nights, but she doesn't stay over at their house. She meets the husband. He's very nice, but the only sketchy thing is the wife is locked in the guest bedroom, and Mr. Garrick says, "Don't go in there, she's really ill." Immediately, Millie's thinking the worst, oh my gosh, what kind of situation is this? She's dating some guy, and he's like, just don't worry about it. And she's like, okay. Millie, of course, breaks that rule and tries to talk to her, but of course, Mr. Garrick is a very powerful man. There's a bunch of twists with the characters and the plots, and there's just a point where you don't know who to trust. So much crime in this book. There's also a little bit of low-lying romance. It was just extremely good, and I gave it 5 stars. This is a 5-star series. Those were the 2 books I read this month. My TBR keeps on growing. So the first book I have is The Inheritance Games. This has been on my shelf for so long. I don't know why I won't pick it up. Maybe this is what I'll read next. Basically, one girl gets all the inheritance. She's not even a part of the family, and the other people are why did she get all the money? And you just kind of learn what happens with that. Next, I have Fault in Our Stars. I have never read this before, but I watched the movie. Oh, look, there's pictures in it. One girl has cancer, and she finds this guy, and they start dating, and then crazy things happen. I also have Shatter Me on here. I've also had this on my TBR for a long time, but it is a big series. It's dystopian. Now I have one of my favorite authors, Sarah J Maas. This is Throne of Glass, but this is the second book in the series. The first one is Assassin's Blade, so I need to get it first before I read this. Another series is One of Us is Lying. I don't know why, but I've been loving thrillers recently, and this is yet another thriller. 5 students and 1 person dies, and they have to figure out who was the killer. Next, I have Light Lark, and this has been on my TBR again for a very long time. I got this because I always see Alex Astor on my Instagram promoting her book, and she does a good job. I don't know how she comes up with so many things. But this is a beautiful book. Like, the cover is beautiful. And then in the pages, this is sort of like Caraval, sort of like Hunger Games, a deadly game that appears, and rulers have to fight to break curses. Alright, I have a classic, Pride and Prejudice. I absolutely love the 2005 movie with Keira Knightley, but the only thing is this text is so small. Like, do you see that? My eyes are gonna break. I have a Nicholas Sparks books, which I think I've only read 2 of his books before. And this one is Dreamland. My mom read this a long time ago, and she was like, Lily Reese, you need to read this. And I'm like, oh, I will. And I keep putting it off. So maybe I'll read it this month. My really good friend gave me this, LMNOP. I don't really know what it is. A girl banned letters of the alphabet, or something like that. I don't know. She said it was one of her favorite books. I got We Were Restless Things, and I got this at like a secondhand bookshop. I think it's kind of another thriller. I don't know why I'm like obsessed with thrillers right now. Some girl drowns and all of her friends do not think it was an accident, and then secrets are revealed. Look at how pretty. I've got The Last Thing He Told Me. I got like 50 pages into this book, I think. I stopped reading it because I couldn't really get into it, but I am going to start it again. It's like a pretty small book, actually, but it's another thriller, another mystery. Her dad goes missing and she has to figure out why he left, where he went. This is a big one. This is The Pillars of the Earth. My dad recommended this book to me, and I got about 50 pages in, and I had to take a break because this isn't usually what I go for or what I read. A hefty book. It is about 1,000 pages. It's like a bunch of stories inside. It was really interesting when I read it. I am going to read it. Don't worry, Dad. It's probably going to be a little while because that is intimidating, especially because I could barely read 2 books in college. What makes you think I'm going to be able to read this? Slow Fire Burning. My aunt gave me this book. Oh, there's a murder. So apparently I have a lot of thrillers on my TBR, which I did not realize. A young man is murdered, and there's 3 women for suspects, and you kind of figure out who did it. Last book on my TBR for now, Tress of the Emerald Sea. Look at that. So that's kind of why I bought it, because it is just so beautiful. Oh, this chapter is called The Rat. That's interesting. A girl named Tress comes, and she has to like go on an adventure with one of her friends. With that being said, those are all of the books I read this month, and also what was on my TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely go read a book or 2. Bye!